Coming up on this week's show, it's the Christmas show. A God of War live action series is coming from Amazon. The Game Awards gave us a boatload of trailers for games that we are now hugely excited for in 2023. Sarah gives her thoughts on the Forspoken demo, and we reflect back on 2022 and how the year was for us, both professionally and personally. Hello friends and welcome to the Weekend Catch-Up Club podcast, the coffee morning show brought to you every week where friends hang out and chat about some of the latest stories going on in the industry. You can follow the show on all your favourite platforms or watch the video version over on youtube.com/gamertagged. This is episode 90, the Christmas show and the last one of 2022. And joining me as always is the man with the personality of a can of Orange Tango, the king of the tangent, James McClellan.
Morning, mate.
Good morning.
Holy shit, it's getting close.
And joining us in the co-host hot seat is none other than the voice from beyond. You've heard her in titles like Rollerdrome and Goat Simulator 3. It's the ethereal, the spooky, the immensely talented Sarah Lynham, lit up like a literal Christmas tree.
Woo! Yeah, I chose to go for the solid state of lighting. I showed Ross earlier that it's got a couple of more aggressive options as well. Not that so much, but like some of them are like, oh my god.
Oh god, I can see through time.
It's the nightclub epilepsy warning that we need for when those go on. Yeah. Goodness me. Great to see you guys. Last one for the year. Can you believe that we're here already?
No.
It's wild.
I zoomed by, huh?
It really has. It really has. How many episodes has that been as a trio of us now? It must be about over 20 episods since we rebooted
like
the
that.
show, right?
I would have thought so.
It was in the 70s, I think, that I joined. So
in the 70s, you time travel. Wow.
It's a lot more than 20 episodes, you'll find.
This episode has been going for so
years.
long. I said we started in the 70s.
Seen some things, man, and some stuff.
Jamie's looking quite trim today. You notice he's got a little bit of grooming going on with his beard. What's going on
finally, it went full fucking tribble. I couldn't cope anymore. But I realised it was when I realised I could no longer eat soup that I was like, this has to go. Because every mouthful was like, fuck, Jesus Christ. So yeah, I had to trim. So I was... Because I've got quite a bit of white coming through in the beard. So one of these days I will go full Gandalf.
Yeah.
But I need to like tame it and keep it progressing towards that with, gentle care and not getting in my fucking soup. So between the two things I'm gonna balance.
The soup test is vital, right? That's the measure of beard length, manageability. Yeah. Toast and peanut butter is for me, really. That's the big one for me. If I get it always in the mustache bit, right? Just at the very fringes of the mouth, because you're trying to shove the bit of toast in. The bit of toast is clearly far too wide for my mouth, even though I do have a big mouth. But it always catches the bit of beard at the edge there. And it's so frustrating. And then the dog jumps on me to give me a ridiculously not safe for work greeting. By forcing his tongue right into my mouth. Goes for the tonsils, that dog. But
my.
I love him. I love him to bits. And he gets his peanut butter fix, and I get some tongue action. There you go.
Yeah. That's a better way to start your day.
What are you complaining about? That sounds great.
It's his breath, to be fair. It's his breath.
Yeah, dog breath, not great.
Sometimes we suffer for love. If if I could start each day with a healthy tongue, no, I nearly said a healthy tummy. Well, just move on because I've already made myself laugh, and it's not going to work.
Wow,
I love toast.
This is definitely
toast is great.
So much for the wholesome, family-friendly Christmas show, Jamie. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
wow.
It's definitely more Scrooge than the Scrooge McDuck, isn't it, at this point?
So our topics today, guys, we have quite a lot of really fun topics, actually. Obviously, the Game Awards happened. We'll talk a little bit about that. We won't go through every single award winner, but I'm sure we're going to want to be talking about a couple of awards. And all of the game trailers that were shown off, more importantly, that's where our attention should be focused. Looking forward to what's coming, obviously, in 2023. Just a plethora, I love that word plethora, of
Such a good word.
epic-looking, wonderful games coming out. But that's not all. We have a God of War live-action series got announced, and it's getting picked up by Amazon. We've got some little details there. We're going to have a little bit of a reflection segment, maybe a little bit of a look back on 2022 for us personally, maybe, and also our kind of gaming 2022s as well. And we have Sarah's going to tell us her thoughts on Square Enix's next big fantasy IP, Forspoken, which has a demo currently. So she's going to want to be telling us about that. And those fans, myself included, that are looking forward to Hogwarts Legacy, which is coming out early next year, got a massive gameplay reveal, which is looking really good, and the amount of detail that they're shoving into there. So I'm sure we're going to be talking a little bit about that as well. So let's start quickly with I guess, the Game Awards. How did you guys? I didn't watch it live because it's like 4 hours long, and it was midnight or 1 a.m. when it started over here in the UK. I did the catch up thing, but I did watch the entirety of it on catch up. And I got to say, it was great to see this show just going from strength to strength, and just even higher levels of like presentation and bombast and that kind of Oscars ceremony vibe to it, which is always kind of strived for. And of course, so many amazing games, which I have a list of about 20 that are like, oh my God, I want that. Oh my God, that looks amazing. I want that. But anyway, I'm going to kick it over to Sarah, first of all, and get your thoughts on what caught you by surprise, maybe, and what obviously is now on your list for things you're looking forward to.
Well, I mean, obviously, you and I have had discussions about the Game of the Year, and you win, I suppose.
Loser!
But Ragnarok won loads of awards within the actual ceremony itself, and so did Elden Ring. And I mean, to be honest, I played a lot of both of those games, so I love them both, if I'm being honest. So I'm really happy. And it was I really loved watching Christopher Judge's acceptance speech. It was so nice. He's so well deserving of that award. And but I do love that he went on a bit, and just like the Oscars, they cranked up the music. They're like, "Off you go now, man." All right.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really fun. I didn't actually watch very much of the actual ceremony itself. I watched loads of the game announcements because that's what I'm most excited for, to be honest. But I thought it was interesting that Multiverse was best fighting game. It's a great game, don't get me wrong, but like, was it the best fighting game? I don't know. It was fun. I played like a little bit of it. That being said, I don't know what I'd put in its place, so maybe I'll just shut the hell up about that. What was I most excited by? Hades 2. That I'm very excited for.
Yep.
Judas, the sort of Bioshock looking one. I mean, like, how
There's
do you
so
even...
many.
There was literally so many. More Ghostbusters stuff coming. I don't know. Do I want to just sit here and list off a bunch of stuff? It's really tough. The new Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I'm so excited for that. I haven't actually finished the first one, but like what I have played of it so far is so good. Like the character of Cal Kestis is such a great one to follow, and I'm excited by how much of his universe is actually kind of alluded to in other parts of the Star Wars universe and various like TV series and stuff that's out at the moment. So that's super exciting too.
Yeah. I've got such a list as well, but like Hades 2 was such a wonderful surprise, and I'm so looking forward to that. I'm a huge Supergiant Games fan. What was interesting about that is obviously as more Hades is wonderful. I'm super excited for more Hades, but this will be the first time that Supergiant Games have ever done a sequel.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting that they're going down that direction, and I wonder what that means for the studio, because they're tackling a sequel for the very first time, not bouncing to like a new genre, a new art style, a new new gameplay mechanics, like something totally different, because they've always done that with Bastion to Transistor to Pyre, which is still Pyre is still my favorite one, I have to admit. Pyre doesn't get nearly enough love. It is phenomenal. And then obviously Hades, and now the sequel. So I wonder what's going to happen there and what that obviously means. And it is obviously going back into early access, the same model what the first game did. It worked incredibly well for them. So that would just be awesome to check that out. But yeah, Judas. Oh my God, Sarah, Judas. Right? So finally, this is Ken Levine's big game. Ever since he shut Irrational Games down, which was a huge shock for everybody. When that happened, he went off to create this new studio. I think it's called Ghost Story Games. And there was rumors and mumblings that he wanted to change the way narrative worked in games. So it wasn't just like a one and done playthrough. Like you could replaying the game had narrative changes to it. It was different. So obviously we haven't seen or heard anything about that since. And this new trailer looks very much like a BioShock, but in kind of space. But there's still nothing yet about what he's doing with the narrative chops of this game and the mechanics there and how things are going to be different, subsequent playthroughs and things like that. So I'm really excited to see more about that and to hear more about that. But just visually, it looks just so good. I loved that the protagonist character who you play, which again we don't really know if it's male or I think it's the kind of the blonde character at the very beginning. It was her reflection that was. I think you're a female character.
I think so.
But she had this little dial thing in her wrist or in the back of her palm that she popped open and shoved stuff in, and then that was our our powers. I'm thinking, okay. It's similar to BioShock. It's got that weird kind of steampunky, historical turn of the century kind of vibe, but obviously it's in space now. And it's got that really catchy, almost like military marching tune to that music that was playing. And I'm thinking, like, Ken Levine games are always so politically charged with their messaging and things like that, and they're wonderfully written because of that. And I just wonder what he's going to be doing with this because, and I mean, the name itself, Judas, right? That's a charged name already. So, God.
Oh yeah,
that was a big
one
one
to watch.
That I was looking for.
Going to be looking out for that for show.
I know. But God, there was so many. Again, I don't want to just list out all of them. But
yeah, I could sit here and go every single one.
I know. Space Marine 2, Jamie, that's coming. We've got a new trailer for that. Get in Warhammer 40k.
Love it.
There was one called Blue Protocol, which really looked amazing for me. It looked like a kind of Breath of the Wildy sort of thing, but way more action heavy, anime look, and oh God, there's just so many. This will be a very boring podcast if we just list off all our games, but we could like Death Stranding 2.
Oh my goodness, that looked amazing. I didn't even know that was gonna be a thing. So that was super exciting, and it looks like maybe it's set earlier because Fragile is she's not, it doesn't have like old lady skin. That'll make sense if you played the game.
I haven't, and I'm thoroughly disturbed by that entire sentence. Did she keep it on her? Is she wearing it over her? No, Joe, don't even tell me.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you. You can imagine what you think it is, and it's probably pretty close to right, considering.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, it looks very interesting, and classic in that franchise anyway. Like the story is, it's a full-on story that. Like, I don't even know if it makes sense the first time you play it through. I don't even know if it makes sense the second time you play it through. But apparently the trailer itself has a bunch of little Easter eggs in it. So I'm going to have to rewatch it and see what I can pick out and be like, oh, that's obviously that. Oh, or maybe it'll be things that won't make sense until you play the game. But either way, it looks very cool.
It does. It really does. And I want to do a special shout out to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League trailer that we got for that because... That is Kevin Conroy's final performance. I didn't realize that he would be cast, or I don't know. I wasn't even aware that Batman was going to be prominent in it. I mean, it makes sense, obviously, Justice League, but still, I thought it was more kind of focused around Superman rather than the wider Justice League. But it was amazing to see to hear his vocals when Batman is like taken over by Brainiac and he's evil, and then it's just like, I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman. It's like, fucking hell, that's Kevin Conroy. Oh my god. And it was the tribute, and it's like, yeah, this is like one of his final performances, if not the final performance. Oh, goosebumps.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a very bittersweet thing to watch that trailer, because I got asked recently, who is your Batman? Like, and I was like, it's Kevin Conroy. Like, it really is. Like, because it's the animated series was so iconic and so much a part of, you know, and then the Arkham games, and then all the other, like, the animated movies that come afterwards. He's been Batman for so long in things that I enjoy that, yeah. And the game looks good as well, like, to be fair. Like, I'm looking forward to the game.
I mean, it's rock steady. They're not going to put out a bomb, are they? They're going to make sure that, because this has been in development for like 8 years or something, pretty much since Arkham Knight wrapped and released. They were, I guess, working straight on, okay, what do we want to do next? And I just can't wait to see what the story is actually going to be. So it looks amazing. It looks absolutely bonkers. We've got King Shark finally. So if he doesn't do nom 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 repeatedly in this game, we'll have missed an opportunity here, because that was one of the funniest things of obviously James Gunn's Suicide Squad, the movie. King Shark. I mean, I would even love Sylvester Stallone to voice in the game, but obviously that's not going to happen. But it just looks, can't wait to see more of that. But there's so many games. It was wild. It was just like insane. Trailer after trailer after trailer. Horizon Forbidden West, Burning Shores DLC is coming. There's a Transformers game coming. There's sequels. I don't know, Jamie, were you completely flummoxed by Crime Boss Rocky City? And because it had Michael Madsen, Chuck Norris, Danny Glover, Kim Basinger, Danny Trejo. It's like, what the freaking hell? It's like GTA Vice City, but triple A, and 80s action stars and movie stars doing the Grand Theft Auto thing.
You see, when a GTA and an 80s movie love each other very much, that one was definitely out of left field, and it's very it's interesting, because like Michael Madsen to me is like he's such a weird guy. I love Michael Madsen, like in his roles. I don't know anything about the man, but I love his roles because he's always Michael Madsen. In the best possible way. It's like, this film has blah, 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 and Michael Madsen being, well, you guessed it. And he's just fucked up, like, so straight. There's even there's a quote that I love from a really dark film that I watched when I was younger called Killers. Brilliantly messed up about this pair of, like, child psychotics it's his awesome film. Ooh. But there's a line in it where he's talking about, Reservoir Dogs. And he looks at the case for the VHS and then he goes, best thing about this film is Michael Madsen smoking cigarettes. And I thought, you know, I don't think he's wrong. You just gotta love, So that's a weird one for me. The one that really took me by surprise, though, as a bit of a sort of outside pick, was Hellboy. Is it Rise of the Weird?
Yeah.
Call of the Weird?
Yeah.
One of the two.
Web of Word. I think
that
I've got
was
it down here, but Web of Word, I think it is,
Yeah, that looks brilliant, because it looks like you're playing a comic book, and a Mike Mignola comic book. Like, I'm very excited by that, because I love Hellboy. That character is so phenomenal, and there's so much they could do with him, and instead they made the David Harbour movie, so, you know, you can't always get it right.
I'm still waiting for Guillermo del Toro and Ron Perlman to give me part 3 of their trilogy.
Please. Because those two films were great. I don't care what anyone says, they were brilliant. But yeah, that game looks, because I like that look of a game that, yes, when it's related to comic books, like the Deadpool game kind of had it with the cell shaded effect and really good fun voicing from, I think it was Nolan North who did Deadpool in the game.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant. It was very, very, I know these days, let's face it, Deadpool's Ryan Reynolds, but it was perfect, right? And so any game that puts you in that comic book mindset while you're playing as or with the hero of it, I really like. and that whole art style looked glorious because it's very dark, and it looks like the world around him has been reduced to ash in places, and it looks fantastic. And it's really fucked up, and he's fighting this werewolf-looking thing. But yeah, that's my kind of shit. So that was my weird outside pick.
There's not often we get a video game that perfectly captures the look of a comic book or an animation necessarily. We've had a couple with Ni no Kuni, which captures the Ghibli style perfectly. But I want to even go back a little bit even further or is it further or is it more kind of present? I'm not too sure now. Transformers Devastation, which looked exactly like the 80s Transformer cartoons.
Yeah,
but there's still very, very few that really capture that aesthetic from like the other mediums that they're based on. So this Hellboy one does look super rad, and
it very much gave me Sin City-esque vibes as well. Like because obviously Sin City is one of the absolute best translations of a comic book to any other media. So very excited for that. And generally, there was just lots of cool things.
Do either of you remember the game Mad World on the Wii U, which was just black and white, and apart from the red, where for the blood, and that was very kind of Sin City as well. Cool. Was Mad World based on a graphic novel as well, Jamie? I can't remember, or was it like a new thing just for the game?
Was Mad World not an update of an older game?
I can't remember.
Was it Mad World that had... No, that was Cool Spot. Cool Spot was Kim Basinger.
Oh, Cool Spot.
Just, I don't know why that's there, but probably because we mentioned it earlier. But Mad World, I feel like it was an update or it was based on something, but I can't remember. I remember, because I never played it, but I remember the look of it, and it was very striking. Even, even Borderlands to an extent, like that sort of like that look works, even though obviously Borderlands is its own thing. So anything like that, but yeah, there was one other as well, which I was very impressed, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. I'm actually scrolling through it now because I can't fucking remember the name at all. Nightingale Realm Walker's Journey. I watched a man in a very fancy top hat and tails jump off a cliff and glide using an umbrella before meeting up with someone that looked a lot like Sherlock Holmes and talking to a monster. Sign me up.
Yes, that does look cool.
That was just bizarre. And that bizarre will always drag me in. If I look at it and go, I don't know what's happening here, there's every possibility I want to play it. So, that was an interesting one. But
I mean, tons of stuff that we're gonna try and get our hands on for next year, or not. We're just gonna, please give we pay rises across the board. Give us all these game codes. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? God. But I don't know what I'd probably say my standout game was. It was just great to see so many new games. More games obviously coming to PC, which Jamie will be happy about. Although, Jamie, if you want Returnal, you're going to have to probably shell out a ridiculous amount of RAM for your computer in order to run it because it's making headlines. Absolutely. Anyway, let's move on to our next topic then, because we could be here all day just chatting about all of these game trailers and stuff we're looking forward to. But God of War is getting a live action series commissioned by Amazon Prime Video. And what is even more brilliant about this news, it's going to be executive produced by none other than Cory Barlog, the game director, writer of God of War 2018. He was also the game director on God of War 2, way back on the PlayStation. What? PlayStation 2 was it?
Maybe.
I think it was the 2. Yeah, way back. So this is super obviously exciting. More and more, I guess these mega companies like the Netflixes, like the Amazons, are commissioning big budget TV adaptations for games. Finally, HBO's Last of Us, we've talked about it multiple times on the show. That's coming out in just a few weeks, actually, in January. We've already had an announcement that PlayStation are going to be doing a live-action Horizon series at some point. So that's hugely exciting because, again, that is so rich and just visually vibrant and incredible. That would need a mega budget to do those dinosaurs and robots justice for sure. But apparently that's heading over to Netflix though as well though. But Amazon Studios is doing this one, and it's going to be specifically following the Norse saga. So again, clearly Amazon have got too much money on their hands. They haven't spent enough on their Lord of the Rings TV show. They want to keep on trucking with these epic not science fiction, fantasy adaptations, and that's kind of wild. And of course, it starts the rumor mill for who's going to be cast, who's going to be Kratos. And I was like, well, Henry Cavill needs a job. He could be. No, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that'd be particularly good casting.
He'll be busy.
He'll be very busy with Warhammer, exactly. Yeah, which is awesome. That's perfect for him. Just give him Warhammer, and then just let him do his thing. Yeah, off you go. But I saw a really really good kind of fan mock-up of Jason Momoa as Kratos. And before I had you said that to me, I thought, no, it has to be Christopher Judge. Just give it to Christopher Judge. But then I saw the visual of Jason Momoa as Kratos. I thought, fuck, that's really good. That's actually really good. But again, it comes down to not just the look. It comes down to the character, the voice, the mannerisms. It's like he's made the Norse edition Kratos. So whether he's too old for the role, I don't know, because that period of Kratos' life, he is older. So, don't know. Anyway, Sarah, you must be champing at the bit to talk about this.
I have opinions. When I saw the sort of classic clickbait title for me, God of War series is going to be made into live action. My heart went into my throat. I was like, first of all, amazing, so excited for it. Second of all, what are you going to do with my baby? Like, please, whatever you do, don't fuck this up because it needs to be good. And then I sort of like breathed a sigh of relief when Cory Barlog was going to be executive producer. I was like, okay. So we're probably going to be okay. And then the fact that it's Amazon is great because, again, it was one of those things with Rings of Power. I was terrified about them taking on a Lord of the Rings thing. And I was like, okay, so they've got a metric shit ton of money to put into it, so that's a good thing. But like, these worlds exist because of the performances and the writing and the directing that goes behind it. Like, if those things don't all marry up, it's gonna not be as good as what I want it to be. And I'm really glad that for me, Rings of Power was great, and so I'm like, okay, so that's feels like a good track record for me. I don't think anybody other than Christopher Judge should be cast as Kratos. I don't care if it's Jason Momoa or David Bautista that I heard someone say, or Triple H, like casting a wrestler. I'm like, it's not. I get that the aesthetic is important, but for me, you could, as long as the person has the characterization down, it could be basically anybody. But it can only be Christopher Judge, in my opinion. I think the thing I might find trickier is depending on when they set it in terms of the storyline that already exists, is whether they can cast Sonny as Atreus again, because he's like, if you saw him at the Game Awards, I was like, oh, he's not a kid anymore.
Yeah,
like he's 17, but like he doesn't look like young Atreus from the first the 2018 version of God of War. So I was like, okay, so if they want to set it too early, maybe he won't be in the scenes where Atreus is younger. Maybe they might have to find somebody else. And then I saw some other speculations on casting, something about Tom Holland, and I was like, no, he's older than Sonny. What are we doing?
Stop picking Tom Holland for everything. It's ridiculous.
Look, he's adorable, but no, I'm sorry. He's a young adult now. It just doesn't work. It literally needs to be a kid, because he is a kid in that first game. And I actually saw a tweet from Sonny saying, I swear to God, if I'm not booked for this job, ... And then the actress who plays Freya, who I've completely forgotten, essentially responded saying the same thing. You and me both, buddy. Yeah. Why would you? Like, the games are still relatively new in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, maybe they're a few years older than they were initially, and maybe they'll struggle with the child casting of Atreus. But that all depends on when they set it. They haven't given us any information about where it's going to sit in terms of the current time frame.
They're obviously skipping over the Greek mythology stuff, which is just pure massacre. And I'm actually glad that they're doing that, because that had they done like from the origins and building up to the Norse mythology, I fear that could have gone down the ultra campy Spartacus TV show kind of route, and it was just like orgies and violence and just like this is not highbrow enough. It's not, it's not serious drama, that kind of thing, like really good Game of Thrones level of stuff, or House of the Dragon, or the Lord of the Rings show, Rings of Power. I'm glad that they're going straight in with Norse mythology, but it gives obviously the opportunity to tell all of the wider backstory stuff, which we haven't been privy to in the games necessarily, like the origin stories of Brock and Sindri. They're, they obviously they are renowned for fighting, and then they were the partnership blacksmiths, but then they split up for a while, and they had maybe their own adventures during that time before coming together again. And we'll see hopefully more of Kratos' wife and how they met, and how all of that. There's tons of backstory stuff of what Kratos did when he first arrived in the Norse mythology kind of era, Scandinavia and things like that. So it's so rich and so rife for all of that stuff. And the fact that Corey's on board to basically oversee it all, to say, no, that doesn't make sense. You can't do that. Or, be the guy in charge. Be the guy that Henry Cavill was going to be over for Warhammer, for Amazon. Again, Jesus, how much money do Amazon have if they're having 2 mega budget TV shows, 3 mega budget TV shows, actually, if counting Rings of Power. And the good thing is that Amazon doesn't cancel shit. So, like, it has to really bomb or something like that for Amazon to stop it. They're not like Netflix where you get one season and then they just say, nah, we're just going to kill it. So it seems like it's got a really good home. And again, like the conspiracy theories of who's going to play which character, which are they going to bring in new characters? Is there going to be other stuff going on? Who are they going to have? Odin in this? Are they going to have Thor and that, or is that going to be a couple of seasons later? Are they going to keep the first season very small and then build up to the epicness? And it's just exciting.
Yeah,
hugely
it is exciting. It is exciting. It just occurred to me that the fact that they're announcing it now, but there was something in another article that I read that they've actually it's been in the works since March. So I don't think there's any reason why we couldn't have the actual actors from the game in it, because they probably would have even maybe come straight out of the volume and then straight onto set potentially. Wow. Maybe they already know something we don't know.
Jamie, what do you think about this? I know you haven't really played the God of War games, but still.
No, haven't played and watched them though. And, very story-driven, very, very brilliantly written games. And, the aesthetic is important. You're talking about something, obviously gaming is a very visual medium. And so people expect to see a certain thing. And Christopher Judge might be getting on a little bit, and things like that. But I don't care. They can make it work, because you can tweak the story just a little. You can set it just a little bit further down his timeline. You can, and obviously makeup and things, there's plenty they can do to make him just a little bit younger looking, a little bit fresher faced. You can alter the aesthetic of how they look. If they want to cast someone who looks exactly like Kratos, Triple H is basically Kratos, which is fucking weird, right? But also, if you've ever seen Travis Willingham from Critical Role dressed as Glog,
oh my God,
of course, yeah,
he's got a perfect look for it. So if they ever need someone, even if it's just for promo shots, just hire him, because he'd be brilliant. But no, I think it needs to be Christopher Judge, because the voice is so iconic. I mean, it's a fucking meme, for Christ's sake. Like, it's part of the zeitgeist at this point. You have to have Christopher Judge's voice. But yeah, I think it's looking really interesting. I think Amazon have got good previous for making good quality shows, and the fact that they've got Corey Balrog in to do the is it Balrog or Barlog? I always do that. Corey Barlog.
I wish it was Balrog.
Barlog.
I don't want it to be. I can't get past it. That's why I always get his name wrong.
Balrog.
You've got Corey Balrog, and if they let him pass to get into the studio, then it'll be fine. But you need that, because when it is such a story-driven game, and that story is so important to people, you need someone who's going to, even if they change the direction of it slightly, he will keep the theme and the feel to it, so it will feel like God of War.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to watch this because it's a mythology that I love as well. So it's, it'd be really interesting to see what they do with it. And Amazon seem to be getting quite heavily into the world of the geek currently and making good shows based on it. So we shall see.
They're gaining a lot of favor, especially with that news breaking, of course, of Cavill signing a deal to star in and exec produce a movie and a TV series in the Warhammer universe, and then putting out his statement of how he's going to make sure that this is honoring the lore, the mythos, and the storylines of Warhammer, because everybody knows that he is such a nerd and an uber fan of this kind of stuff. And the audience is like, we know you will, because we saw how seriously and how dedicated you were for the Witcher show, of which you're a huge fan of, and like, this is perfect. This is the perfect project for you. So off you go do it, make it amazing. And it's gonna Amazon just give him whatever he wants. Just let him do whatever he wants.
There is no budget.
Exactly.
Throwing bushels of money at him and just do whatever you like. It's the right way to go.
But I hope they do the same thing with this God of War show, because if it's successful, again, it's setting precedent for HBO show. Looks like it's going to be a slam dunk. It looks like they're doing, because again, Neil Druckmann is heavily involved with that.
Yeah.
One of the creators is heavily involved with making sure it's done right. And that's always been the mistake in the past, of somebody just taking it, a studio just taking it, and then making something of their own creation and then slapping the name on it, which is usually nothing to do with the game, or very badly tying into the game, or something like that, or a very ham-fisted adaptation. Whereas it seems like now we're getting proper care and attention to detail, and making sure it's done right, and making sure it's casted well, and I can't wait. It's just going to be so good to see these come to life.
Yes.
No, very exciting times.
Very much so. Anyway, okay, Sarah, you want to tell us all about your time with Forspoken, the new demo that just dropped on PS5?
Yeah, sure. So Forspoken, I've been following this since the first trailer I saw, which I think was it in the state of play, perhaps, I think, from memory. And I thought, wow, this looks amazing. Sort of fantasy world, but the idea is that the girl is from a contemporary setting, and she gets pulled into this fantasy realm, and suddenly she has powers to kind of manipulate things around her, like the earth, and to it's sort of elemental, and it seemed really cool. I was like, it looks gorgeous as well. And then they dropped a demo recently, and I'm going to play that. Amazing. I've been following it since the trailers came out, and it's really janky. It's not not what I wanted it to be. Yeah, it was really sad. And I think the other thing was, like, straight away playing it, I noticed a definite lack of, well, compared to the graphical fidelity of what I saw in the trailers, I was like, oh, suddenly this is not what I was expecting. But also, fidelity isn't everything to me, so I was like, it's fine as long as the game is fun to play, which felt like it was going to be, and then it really wasn't. Like, all the sort of controls were really unresponsive. They have your main attack function is on R2, and with the PS5 haptics, I couldn't play for longer than 20 minutes without physically being in pain. That's how difficult it was to actually fire off spells.
Yikes.
And they've tried this really complicated thing where a press of a button, so the R1 button is to maybe cast a little spell. Your R2, if you sort of hold the trigger down slightly, it'll cast a spell, or if you pull it all the way down, it'll cast a spell. So you've got 3 different modes, and that's all on the right hand side. And I was like, well, if I didn't have carpal tunnel before, I definitely have it now. And that was within 20 minutes of playing the game, and I just had to turn it off, which was really disappointing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have said that the demo hasn't fulfilled what they were hoping for, what it seemed that they were promising from the trailers. And the devs have sort of gone, oh, it's going to be nothing like that. The game is going to be really, really different. It's like, well, why'd you give us this demo then? Because you've shot yourself in the foot, because even if the game comes out and it's good and it's better and if none of the issues that were in the demo, people who have played the demo are going to be less likely to pre-order or even consider getting it in the first place. So it's a real shame, because it looked like the story was really interesting. This kind of idea of a fish out of water scenario in a fantasy land, you suddenly have powers. I'm like, oh, that sounds like the dream. But yeah, unfortunately, it was a bit of a nightmare to play. So I'll be watching it to see what happens, to see if they improve things, but I don't think I'll be getting it on release as a result, which is a real shame. Unless they, I mean, I don't know if this is an outrageous idea for them, but like drop another free demo that's better, or fix it, or I don't know what they could do. But essentially at this point, if the game is what I played in the demo, I can't physically play it, which is ridiculous. Like, surely accessibility is an important thing these days, and I don't consider myself unphysically able to play games, generally speaking. But yeah, 20 minutes in, my whole hand was just cramping up. So it's a real shame. It's a real shame.
Awful.
Yeah. And I can't even say it had any redeeming factors to it. Some of the voice acting seemed a little I don't know if it's because it was all out of context, right? So they drop you in quite far, like sort of in the middle of a gameplay, I guess. I suppose it's kind of give you enough abilities, give you enough like pieces of equipment to swap out. But it felt like I had no idea what the characters were talking about when they were talking to each other. There was loads of like really aggressive, like cinematic music all the time, and I was like, "Can we just could you stop just for a second?" Yeah. So, not great, unfortunately.
The absolute worst first impression of a game you were excited for as well.
Yeah.
That is the worst when that happens, because I was really looking forward to this as well, and I took it for a bit of a spin, and yeah, unfortunately, a lot of what Sarah's saying, I totally agree with. I had a slightly different experience because I tend to always have my haptics, especially in the triggers, turned off. I never use them because I just don't like them. So I like the vibration stuff and the rumble and things like that, but anything that like trigger stops or adding extra pressure to triggers, I'm like, no, fuck that. That's the kind of stuff I just don't want. So that wasn't quite as bad for me, but all the VO stuff was super grating. I hated that the bangle was essentially like Jarvis from Iron Man, and I was like all the time this very kind of monotone, but tried to be like a British butler sort of thing, and the straight talking kind of personality, and her character as well was obviously like a New Yorker and sarcastic and as much as possible, but it was too much. It was all the time she was dropping these sarcastic comments and like, oh my god, I'm gonna get my sneakers dirty and things like this, and it just didn't land at all. It was just really bad. And one thing I did like about the demo though was the open world traversal. I thought was really good, but
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, again, but you have to hold the button down, which again, if you've got any kind of arthritic condition, or if you just can't hold a button permanently, then that's going to be a problem. However, I did like it. It made me feel a little bit like Insomniac Spider-Man, where you press the run button and then you just start parkouring over stuff and you're running up buildings and and so it's automatic parkour stuff. I thought, okay, this is kind of cool. I'm moving fast across the environment. But that same system, when you're in combat, was a fucking nightmare because I just felt totally out of control. I felt like I was like rubber balling everywhere, like bouncing everywhere, and I just want to be a bit more planted and focus on my enemy. And there's one of the spells where you can conjure a flame sword. And again, the combat took me a really long time to get my head around and get used to, but once I got used to it, I thought, okay, there's something here. It's not instantly, I love this combat system, let's go. It was like, this is going to take some work to really find my comfort level with it and if I'm actually enjoying this or not. And because it's geared around ranged spells first. That's what it feels like anyway.
Yeah.
The triggers kind of make sense for that. However, when you change your spell to the fire sword and becomes more of a melee build, which is what I'm kind of used to for majority of games, I always go like the big sword and shield guy in my Souls games and things like that, and I'm never the mage character. It's still the trigger, and that just felt so weird to do fast attacks on the trigger for a melee build, which shouldn't be too problematic because usually, like in Souls, your heavy attack is the trigger anyway, but it's usually the bumper for your fast attacks. But there was something here just felt weird and wrong, and I didn't really like it. And I really hope that, like, from the trailers look so different and so much better, more fantastical. And it felt like the world, this chunk of the demo, this landmass they gave us, just felt so empty and copy-paste enemies and things like that. And I want to think, okay, there's something going to be amazing here. But this demo was not good as an example of this game. And the more I thought about it, I thought, thinking back to the network test of Elden Ring, which was a huge chunk of landmass. Again, here is a huge chunk of landmass. The difference is Elden Ring was that network test demo, quote unquote demo, wasn't really a demo, it was the network test. It gave you all the content that was in the final game for that area of the final game. Whereas here, it just feels like it's very empty. It's just like this huge landmass. It's just very empty. There's the same enemies that you attack and swipe and cast your spells on, and then there's some interesting creature designs like these big alligator things, and then there's a boss, I think, at some point, and there's another big heavy boss on top of a bridge, and it's all very interesting, but it's lacking something significant to say, this is going to be the next big thing from Square Enix. This is a brand new IP. It's going to give you that mage action fantasy feeling of, this is the character that you're going to do all these amazing spells with, and have it feel really, really good. It's disappointing. I'm in agreement with Sarah. It's got a lot to do to win the fans back that were interested in this and wanted to play it and wanted to see what it was going to be like.
Do you think
tough one?
It's a very mistaken case of, if they were looking at the buzz surrounding it and the amount of other games that are coming out and the amount of games like that, the amount of open world RPG type stuff, that maybe someone somewhere has made the decision, hey, we need to get more buzz going about this. It's time we drop a demo, but it wasn't really ready for it. So they took the only chunk that worked enough to slap out there and let people see. In which case, it would be the best thing they could possibly do to say, hey, that was, early playtest demo. We heard what you've said. People didn't seem to like it. Here's a new one, and have it properly finished, like a section of it really ready to go, to try and pull people back in. Problem is, you know what the gaming world's like. We are fickle creatures, and sometimes once you've lost us, you've lost us. So there's going to be people who have now gone, nah, shit, and they'll never go back to it.
Yeah, and that's always the problem with demos. Is like, as gamers, we want more demos to try out these games, but they're so difficult to create. It's like, okay, is that demo enough for a player? And they'll say, okay, I've played the demo. I don't need to play the final game. I know where this is, and I've had enough because it was a big demo or something like that. Or you run the risk of grabbing a very, very old build of the game, which I think is what's happened here, and just to get it out there to say, we've got a demo for you to drop and try out, and then it's overwhelmingly negative. And it's so challenging for the developers, and I guess the PR teams and publishers to get it right, to say, this is meant to drive hype for the game, to boost the pre-orders, to boost the wish listing, and it's just not a good experience. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to be playing this then. I'm not going to be pre-ordering this then, because the trailers that you dropped look amazing, and then this is what it's actually like. It's not the PR spin on it that they've crafted an amazing trailer of cherry picking all of these perfect moments. The actual game is like this, and can be hugely detrimental to the success of the game.
Yep.
Damn.
It's such a balance because, like you say, like it's the same with anything, with movies and stuff. Like, there's nothing worse than watching a trailer for something, thinking this looks amazing, and then finding out that they squeezed the only 2 minutes of good footage they had into the trailer, and everything else is toss, which has happened. I've seen films like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anything made by Asylum, although the trailer's also tossed. But they, I have to give them shit at least once a month, or I start to get a headache. But it's true. Like you trailers can only tell you so much, and you can't be sure about the actual experience, and especially when it comes to gameplay, because unless you've got the controller in your hand and you're in control, you don't know how it feels. And that is the thing. A game doesn't just, it's an interactive media, so it's how it feels to you as well as how it looks. And you can see a trailer that looks beautiful. I mean, the Forspoken trailer looked gorgeous, but if it doesn't feel right and it plays out janky, and then when it's not the 30 seconds of gameplay they use to show off the bit that works, then you're going to be having a very different experience when you play it. So that's why a demo, I think, is a great idea, as long as they get that balance right and actually use, a bit of the game that works and really polish it before it's released.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope it comes together and give Sarah a reason to try out.
Yeah, win me over.
Yeah. Okay, so let's have a little bit of a reflection, a moment of reflection for the year of 2022 for each of us. It's been a heck of a year for all of us, I think. Sarah, shall we start with you? You've had a pretty banger year, I think, but I'd like to obviously hear directly from yourself. How has your year been? Personally, professionally, obviously gaming wise as well. Has it been a good year?
Yeah.
What have been your highlights?
You know, it has been a good year. It's so interesting to look back on it, because like I think sometimes when you're in that moment of that year, you can have these really shitty times and you're like just like, oh God, will next month be better? Like, you go through a really dry spell where there's not much work coming in, for example. Like, that happens all the time. But I get to the end of the year and I'm like, I actually did loads of really cool things this year. 2 like absolute banger video games that came out that I'm so proud to have been a part of. Like Rollerdrome, kind of like, it felt like it kind of came out of nowhere. I know that Ollie Ollie World, like they did super well with that game, but it felt like Rollerdrome was for them kind of next level up, and they have absolutely charged ahead. And I know, having spoken to the guys, that it was more successful than they had hoped it would be, than they planned it would be, and it means that what they get to do now is going to be bigger and better. And they mentioned something about potentially working on 2 projects simultaneously, which sounds very cool. And I've said, hello, if you need more voice acting, I'm here, obviously.
Of course.
And, obviously Goat Sim 3, amazing. But that, I didn't actually record that this year. I recorded that in lockdown. Like, I think it was January of 2021. So it was ages ago. So they actually had that for a while. But I think they wanted to make sure that what they put out, first of all, they took forever to announce it. I think they wanted to make sure that it was huge, which it absolutely is, in terms of the actual building of the world, and everything that you can do in it is absolutely like catastrophically big. I've played quite a lot of the game and still haven't seen every single bit of it. And that was, I'm still kind of like, was I in that? I was in that, right? Yeah. And then, 20 minutes into the game, I encountered myself and just headbutted myself until I passed out, which is, I think, what everyone should do.
The dream.
If they're ever... Yeah. What else have I done this year? I mean, those are the 2 big hitters, really. I started studying accounting, like, because I'm also a big numbers nerd, so that's happening too. Probably going to have my first exam in January, so wish me luck.
You got this.
I hope so. I haven't done an exam in like over 15 years. Yeah, so that's going to be fun. It's going to be cool to be able to actually have something academic going on as well as all the creative stuff, because I'm definitely like a both sides of the brain kind of person, so it's nice to have something when I'm not playing video games or doing voiceover stuff to have kind of bubbling away in the background. yeah, I've played some really cool games. Obviously, if you didn't know, I really liked God of War. I wrote a couple of games down, but like for the most part, like I just think coming back to games, I was like, oh, I didn't know I was going to play a whole lot of that. I ended up playing a lot of Fortnite, which I didn't think I'd do. I ended up playing loads of Dead by Daylight, which was really fun. I really enjoyed playing Evil Dead when it came out. That was really fun. Again, similar to Dead by Daylight, but it's all in the Evil Dead franchise, which was super fun. Scorn, disgusting, gross, really visceral game. I'm really looking forward to playing Choo Choo Charles, which I haven't bought yet, but it's come out. It's on Steam. It looks terrifying. If you haven't seen it, it's basically this terrifying. What is he? He's like Thomas the Tank Engine, but like as a spider. So nightmare fuel.
Nightmare fuel. Oh my god.
I've played loads of Dungeons and Dragons, which is always fun, and I would recommend if you haven't played Dungeons and Dragons yet, go and play it. We're living in the absolute golden age of TV as well. There's so many amazing things to watch, like so many Star Wars things, so many Marvel things. Like, I don't know what to do with my time except sit around and play video games and watch cool shit all the time. What a tough life I live.
It's a pretty good position to be in, definitely.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, all good. I mean, I think to kind of like make it sound less like everything has been golden and wonderful. Like a couple of family members have had some health issues, but like I've been very lucky that they've overcome those. So outside of all the nerdy stuff, I do have a real life, and I am real, and have family members and friends, and sometimes things aren't so good, and sometimes they're really good, and I think it's important to have a bit of dynamic in your life, and I'm very lucky that I get to do what I do, but also I am very humble and grateful that I get to do that.
100%.
Done. There you go.
2022 in a nutshell. Jamie, how's your 22 been?
Okay. Not to belabor the point, but I mean, Ross knows particularly that the past couple of years have been a bit rocky for me with my mental health. And if you can't tell that just by listening to me talk and losing my shit over something as simple as Halo not working out as it should, then but no, it's been a good year. It's been an interesting year. Obviously, the podcast has been huge and awesome, and I've loved every second of it. I've also managed to sort of flex my creative muscles a wee bit throughout the year and do largely, back to streaming a wee bit. It's been on and off because life is busy. But always enjoy coming back to it. We've done a couple of charity streams this year, which did well. And one of my favourite things to do is sit for 24 hours and drive myself to the brink of insanity to try and raise money for someone. So that's been good. Ups and downs in everything like there always are. But generally speaking, it's been a good year, and it's been really interesting to be a geek in the past year, because some stuff seems to be so much more mainstream than it ever was. I mean, D&D, I've been playing a lot of D&D too. So I play online with my wee group. Our very awesome DM Duquesne is in Germany, and he hosts brilliant sessions for us, and it's me and Alan and a couple of guys, Jay and Honey, who are great lads, and we have a brilliant time playing. I am a gnomish bard called Vox Thwopgusset, and I have a flair for the dramatic and love to entertain, and have developed slight PTSD as the campaign has gone on, because I keep watching my friends die, up to and including watching Alan get bitten in half by a dragon, and by sheer luck managing to resurrect him through a ritual that we found. So it was really, it got tense. And I've come away from some sessions laughing hysterically, and some sessions crying horribly. So that's D&D. Mm-hmm. But I've watched D&D become so big since I got into it a long time ago. It's got huge. Critical Role obviously is a massive part of that, but there's also Dimension 20, and a whole bunch of others that I watch, like bits and pieces of their Twitch streams. So that's been really nice to see, like, the community sort of come together, and Legend of Vox Machina dropped this year, the animated series, and we're now getting Series 2 in January, so fucking amazing. I could do an entire episode just waxing lyrical about Critical Role, to be fair. But the point being that, yeah, D&D's been a real saving grace for me this year. Like, really, both watching it and playing it, it's a really great way to lose yourself in a complete fantasy world and become someone else for a while. It's a fantastic escapism. And I really do recommend it to anyone, especially, you don't need to gather a bunch of friends in the same place anymore. You can do it online, you can do it all, digitally and stuff like that. It's brilliant. So, yeah, that's been one of the big things in my geekdom. And obviously loads of good TV, loads of good films, and a lot of older stuff. Finally nearly done all of Nightmare from the early 90s.
Yeah.
Sarah,
do you know what Nightmare is, the TV show?
No.
Jamie, you're gonna have to explain to Sarah what Nightmare is.
Nightmare's kind of D&D-esque.
Cool.
In that you'd have 3 kids and they would sit in a room with Treguard, who was the dungeon master. He was played by a man called Hugo Myatt.
Okay.
And it was a TV show, so the 3 kids are sat in the room and the other kid puts on the helmet of justice, I think it was called, which makes no sense. But it blinds him. He can see out the bottom of it just, so he can see where his feet are, but he can't see anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would send the kid into the dungeon, and he would have to walk around, and they would guide him. Now, of course, or him or her or them, but I'm
the
thinking of
dungeon
a
is like
particular
a
episode.
green screen, Sarah. The dungeon's like a video game green screen.
Oh, that
All of
sounds
it.
so cool.
And so badly done in some of it, like, as well, but brilliantly badly done. So it's hilarious. And one of the best episodes of all time is this lad is walking along a bridge and it's collapsing around him. And the kid guiding him just goes, okay, and step left. And just as the kid steps into the abyss, he goes, I meant right. And you watch this kid go, and die. Okay?
Oh, no.
And we maintain to this day that kid knew what he was doing, that this lad had kissed his girlfriend at the school dance or something. He's like, I'm going to get him. When we got a Nightmare, I'm going to fucking kill him. That's him. He's done. So, brilliant show. But I actually have an autographed photo of Hugo Myatt, who played Treguard. During lockdown, I managed to organise it for me and the guys because we've watched all of the show. So that's been a lot of my year as well, is watching old stuff with the guys and just
love that.
reliving nostalgia, but also relentlessly mocking some of it because it's old and cheesy. So that's how I spend my spare time. It's been great fun.
I used to watch Nightmare all the time as well. It was a great show.
Such a show.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the other one that was like the VR type version of it with Craig Charles, who hosted it?
No.
It was these kids, like, they would get into these like treadmill things and they'd be running on the treadmill and that would move this tank that was on the screen and stuff and things like that.
Right.
And Craig Charles was desperately trying to get himself a catchphrase throughout the whole of that show because constantly he would just turn around and go, "Awooga! Awooga!" And no one picked up on it. It just died a death. Every episode, you could watch him lose a little bit of his soul as he said "awooga" once more, and everyone looked at him like, "What are you doing, man? This is, this is not cool. You're good in Red Dwarf. Go back to Red Dwarf. This isn't fun anymore." So yeah, brilliant show. But there was some great kids TV from when we were young.
Definitely, God. My 2022 has been pretty good overall. I would say it's filled with some, I would say, professional disappointments for sure. However, going into January and into next year, I'm hoping that it will turn a corner and will yield a new direction, and there'll be some new opportunities which I can't talk about just yet. But I'm hopeful that it's going to be a good 2023. But it has been for sure frustrating and disappointing this year. Personal wise, the first half of the year has actually been really great. Obviously, my little boy is he turned 2 in October, so watching him grow this past year has just been amazing, and seeing his personality come out. And he's a little bastard. He really is a little shitbag, but I love him. He's so cheeky.
He should be.
Yeah, he's definitely his father's son for sure, and he's just great. So seeing him, he's been obviously taking up a lot of my time, and rightly so, which has just been wonderful to see. But obviously, in February we do the charity event for Special Effect. We raised that, and last year we raised £1,000. So That's always hugely rewarding. It's always amazing. You both actually joined me on the last one, didn't we? Because we did the Bloodborne thing, and Jamie joined me throughout the night, and the wee twilight hours and stuff like that. So got that to look forward to. February coming in 2023 to plan and get that organized. So doing those kind of things is always amazingly rewarding, and that's just it gives you a sense of kind of well-being and just kind of mental strength and growth that you kind of take for granted. And then when you do something like that, you're thinking, wow, that was really incredible to be a part of that, and to see obviously all the other channels and streamers and things like that all band together for that one big weekend to raise the money is always incredible to see. And then obviously you see the work directly that Special Effect do and where all of that money is going from as well. It's just amazing. And I just can't wait to be doing more kind of stuff like that. Health wise, obviously not great, as you guys know. That the second kind of half of the year has been really quite bad with my back injury, which we still don't really know the cause of, which has been immensely kind of frustrating and just makes you filled with kind of anxiety as to, okay, I can't really plan anything because I don't know if any given day I'm just going to pass out from back pain. And that's happened obviously quite a few times over the past few months, but I'm hoping things will kind of get better with some physio appointments and some specialists kind of lined up to tackle that. But I gotta say, like getting me through mostly is obviously my amazing wife and my little boy, but also having this podcast every single week that we kind of get together and chat. And honestly, like, soppy as fuck, but I don't care, right? I love you guys, and getting to do that every single week is a distraction. It's a release. It's just getting to talk to friends has been fucking amazing, and I can't wait to see what we get to chat about going forward and into next year as well. And you know, we're only 10 episodes away from episode 100, for God's sake, so we're gonna need to put our hats together and see what we can do for that. But I can't thank both of you enough for helping me to reshape what the Weekend Catch Up Club podcast can be and what it's turning into and what it is just now already. And I love it. I love doing it, and I love chatting with you guys. So thank you for that. Very, very, very thankful for 2022.
An absolute pleasure. And like you further to what you said, obviously, I mean, you both, I think everyone knows because I moan about it constantly, but obviously I have my medical issues. Fucking wreck from the hair down, and I haven't got any hair. But the
it's like great line. I'm keeping that.
Yeah. But again, like, you know, same as you said, like, having it adds structure to a life which doesn't always have the most structure. Because like you say, when you live with pain issues and things like that, you don't always know what tomorrow is going to look like. So, but this is something that even when I know I've missed a couple, one through illness and one through just being asleep, which I will never live down, and I could not apologise enough for. But, and you know, so occasionally things go a bit awry, but generally speaking, it adds structure to life, which is very important. It's good for your mental health, and it's nice, you know, and obviously sitting down and chatting shit with you guys is always awesome. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. But for 100, I think just live show, right, in a piranha tank. Last one to get out wins. Something, you know, a little bit of spice for the...
I love the idea that could potentially be an hour-long show as well. It's quite a struggle, this tank.
As long as maybe no one's bleeding.
Yeah, maybe
okay.
two of us get out. One of us is in there bleeding, and the rest is just a live stream of that person floating in the tank.
I'm gonna die live on Twitch because that's content.
Yeah,
for the podcast.
Yeah. You don't have to be the fastest person. You just have to be faster than the other person.
Yeah, exactly.
As the saying goes. Yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah, I don't need to outrun them. I just need to outrun you, mate. Yep.
Yeah.
I've used that line playing video games so many times. I am not a good person to play co-op with occasionally.
I know.
Well, it's been honestly, it's been the best. It's been thank you for like including me in it, because I know it wasn't originally a 3-person thing, but it's so nice, and it's so nice to like. I think for me, I play loads of games, but like I think what I've really enjoyed is talking to you guys about the games that you've played and hearing how you enjoy these, and it makes me go, oh my god, now I want to play this, I want to play that, and I'm suddenly getting a pile of shame like Jamie has.
Let it
it's
grow.
great. Let it grow. I just it feels so wholesome, and it's really nice, and it just and I know that you guys live really far away, but I don't know, it feels like we're all close when we do these chats, and it's so nice. I love it, and I love you guys.
Oh, we love you too, Sarah. You're an essential addition for sure. Have you any idea what it's like to handle Jamie on your own for 70 episodes? For Christ's sake,
it's not
too
fun.
difficult.
I'm so much work. I'm high maintenance.
No.
I know this.
Nah, you're the best.
No, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, and I can't wait for us all to start back and chat about what we've been getting up to over the Christmas break, and talk shit even more, even longer. So it's going to be amazing. So I was going to throw in the Harry Potter topic, but I can't really follow a random game chat after that segment. It's been too wonderful and a fitting cap, I think, on today's episode. So Harry Potter looks cool. That's all I really have to say about it. If you're a fan, don't feel like you can't enjoy it. I would say with everything kind of going on around the Harry Potter universe, if you're a fan of the Harry Potter universe, fuck all of that shit off to the side. Get it, enjoy it, embrace what you love about the Harry Potter universe because it looks amazing. And that's all I'll say about that. But anyway, I think that is a great stopping point for this episode. It is our final episode of the year. I want to say a massive Merry Christmas. If you celebrate with your friends and family, then have a wonderful Merry Christmas. If not, have a wonderful time anyway. If you're off over this holiday period, I'm certainly going to be donning onesies and my Christmas hat and everything like that, and tinsel and things, and we're going to be having a great old time with Santa Claus visiting and all kinds of food and drink and friends and family around. It's going to be amazing, and I know both Sarah and both Jamie are too, and we're sending out just a massive amount of love and appreciation to all of you who have been tuning in and watching and listening and supporting this show. But yeah, have an amazing start to 2023. We'll be back, I guess. Let me just very quickly check the calendar. When will we be back, guys? I don't know. Where's my calendar?
Sometime next year, which is weird.
Sometime next year, exactly. It will be probably around the second week of January, I would imagine, around that time. So we'll probably record the 5th of January or something like that, and so the Monday the 9th, I reckon subject to change, obviously. It might be around that time, but anyway, early January, mid-January, something like that, depending if we can wake Jamie up from a mince pie coma. It might be impossible.
I have so many boxes of mince pies in this house, you have no idea. And alcohol. So between the two,
good mix.
Game over.
I know. So, everyone, thank you. Take care and have a wonderful time.